Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Wavecast, the official podcast of the Marine Institute of Memorial University. On this week's episode, we talk with an instructor and student in the Marine Mechanical Design program, Jon Lee and Winston Hoffman. So, to talk about what the program is about and what they've learned from the field, here are Jon and Winston.
Jonathan Lee. I'm chair for the Marine Mechanical Design program at the Marine Institute. I teach in the program as well. Teach two courses right now at the moment, ENSY 2200, which is the second year project course, and ENSY 3300, which is the third year project course.
Well, hi, I'm Winston Hoffman. This is my third year of the Marine Mechanical Design program. I'm currently working on my third year project, which is a anchor handling tug supply vessel.
I also just wanted to ask, I guess, each of you, why did you decide to come to MI? What are your backgrounds outside of the Marine Mechanical program?
I grew up here in Newfoundland, out in CBS, went to Queen Elizabeth Regional High. And when I finished high school, I came to the Marine Institute and actually started off doing the Naval Architecture program. Did that while I was here. I saw what was going on in the Marine Mechanical program and what they were doing, and got really interested in it and thought, that's really cool. I enjoyed doing naval architecture, but this stuff was just, to me, over the moon. So I decided to go back and do the Marine Mechanical program, and came out with both diplomas at the end of the day. So
nice.
Yeah.
And did you think, what was the main reason for you changing, or doing both of them, I suppose?
There was a couple of reasons. One was I really enjoyed the idea of designing the internal systems for the ship, as well as doing the structural and everything else that was associated with the naval architect side. The other side of it was it kind of made me more valuable to the employers. I could walk into a company and I could do either one, kind of a jack of all trades. That was another selling point for me. But really was the marine mechanical side of things that really got me interested. It's funny that, when I came to the Marine Institute, I didn't know about the Marine Mechanical program at all. Had no idea it existed. It wasn't until I got into the Naval Arch program and saw what they were doing in the Marine Mechanical, and kind of went, maybe if I had my time back, I probably would have went straight into Marine Mechanical as opposed to doing naval architecture, in all honesty. It just was really cool. It was really interesting. The piping, the making everything work, choosing the different pieces of equipment, making everything fit into the vessel. It's really detail oriented work at the end of the day, and just piqued my interest.
You say you switched into Marine Mechanical because it made you more viable to employment. Did you end up going into industry before you became an instructor?
Absolutely. When I left here, I went out into the industry, and I actually moved to Nova Scotia first and lived there for many years. And by the time I came back to the Marine Institute, kind of went full circles. I was about 18, almost a little over 18 years in the industry.
Oh, wow.
Worked in Nova Scotia, in Houston, Texas, Marinette, Wisconsin, and even over in Denmark on new builds, refits, everything from Navy to oil and gas and commercial vessels. Everything from yachts, sailing boats, fishing boats, ferries. I got a pretty good background, and even submarines. So,
that's cool.
It is really cool. And that's something that a lot of people out in, who are not familiar with this don't understand, is all the really cool projects that you get into, and the idea that you're designing something on a computer screen, and then, days or weeks later, you can actually walk into a shipyard and you can actually see that being built.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's really, really cool. I mean, one of my first experiences with it was a pilot boat that we designed at a company in Nova Scotia, and it was built on Lake Ontario. They took it up through the lakes and brought it to Halifax, and we actually got to ride on it in the Bedford Basin and then do sea trials. And that was really exciting, because I was only 23, I think, at the time when we were doing that. And then we popped it on a container vessel and ran it through the Panama Canal and up to California, where it's been working ever since.
That is wild. It seems like, yeah, I didn't really realize the scale of which it is like around the world. You can kind of just, there are projects anywhere or everywhere, and it can take you anywhere.
Yep.
I think that's pretty interesting. And so for you, Winston, you're kind of at the start of what Jon was just talking about. You're in your degree right now.
Mhm.
So,
well, I back all the way in grade 11, actually. We were in class and a presentation team came out all the way to my high school, which is back in Red Deer, Alberta. And I've kind of wanted to come since, so it's been kind of a long-term goal of mine to come in and like do something marine related, because like I really like ships. Ships are very cool.
they are very cool.
Again, talking about what Jon said, the idea of building something and then, or like designing something and then seeing it built is
Mhm.
something that I'm also really interested in. I think that's really cool. I didn't do this first though. I decided to do an electrical engineering technology diploma back in my hometown first.
Mhm.
And then using that, I worked for 3 years first, and that's how I built up the funds to come out here and
Mhm.
do this program.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that sounds really interesting. And do you think like doing that first technical program first like helped you either, understand how higher education schooling works?
Oh, absolutely. Like they are fairly similar programs
Mhm.
in like level of workload and kind of time scale. They were both 3-year programs. So no, it definitely gave me a leg up. I was more prepared for the workload. I knew kind of, all right, how to put my time into which sections of things to be able to kind of keep going and take in all of that information, which is definitely a challenge, not for sure.
I definitely had a similar experience going from
Mhm.
high school to straight into university or
Fair.
straight into like some kind of higher education. It is such a difference, but I think like MI does a really good job of supporting the students coming
Mhm.
in. Especially like here, I feel a lot of them are first time like higher education students,
Right.
and I think MI does a really good job of that. And it seems like
Mhm.
both of you had a good experience with it. So
Mhm.
I also want to ask, I guess this is going back to Jon, what got you back into teaching, or what got you into teaching here?
That's a long story. Basically, I mean, I was working in the industry, and my life situation had changed, and was looking for a bit more security.
Mhm.
And not that there wasn't security out there, but in our field of work, you can find yourself moving around a lot.
Mhm.
And I had started a family. Actually adopted a little fella from up north,
Nice.
Nate. So he's number one priority. And I was looking around for something more stable with locally
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
And this job came up, and I applied, and not sure what was going to come of it. Never thought I'd be going full circle, but yeah, no, and they offered me the job, and I accepted it, and here I am today.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you're you're chair now, so it seems like you're kind of fitting into that.
Yeah, things have gone quick. Didn't expect to be chair as quick as I was, but again, life moves quickly,
Mhm.
and sometimes you just got to jump into it and move forward as best you can. So
I was wondering if you could kind of highlight some of like the benefits that Marine Institute gives to students in the marine mechanical program, and then also, what kind of skills they can come out of the program with, and what kind of jobs they can get afterwards.
I think personally, I think the Marine Institute does a really good job making the students comfortable.
Mhm.
I know for me, as a high school student, I wasn't a great student. I was no scholar by any means.
Mhm.
I was spent most of my time playing hockey, right? So when I came to the Marine Institute, it as opposed to other institutions where you walk into a classroom or a big, lecture hall and there's hundreds of students there. You walk into a classroom here and it's less than 30. And,
Mhm.
so it's a really small work environment. The other thing we do in the marine mechanical program is we emulate the work environment. So we had one of our graduates do an interview last year, Mackenzie, who's actually out in industry now. And she made a comment that you walk into, it's just like industry. She walks into her classroom and she's got a desk there. She's got a monitor set up. Her colleagues are around her. She's got an instructor comes in. They work together to try and complete a project because we are project-based learning. And then she left that and she went out into industry and she walks in. There's a desk there with monitors. There's colleagues around her. And then there's an engineering manager who's directing and
Right.
guiding them. So making that transition, and this is why our program is so special, making that transition from the classroom to the actual workforce, it's almost seamless. The same things that these guys are doing, like Winston is doing in his projects today, is what he's going to be doing in, a few months from now when he graduates and gets a job. Myself and Winston actually were sitting down yesterday talking about his coolers, right? And he's got a really small vessel, so he doesn't have a lot of space to work with.
Yeah.
So this is a design problem that you would run into in school. And he came up with a solution that when he first mentioned it to me, my initial reaction was, no, you can't really do that. But then I took the approach of, hang on a second, let's analyze this. Let's see if we can't do it. And I said to him, I said, the initial reaction from anybody in the industry might be, you can't do that because that's not how it's normally done. But he's got a unique situation, so every boat is different.
Yep.
And once we discussed it, part of that is him learning the design process and what to think about when he's making design decisions. But Wins can talk about it more than I can.
For sure.
But I think it's a collaborative approach. He's learning from my experience, and sometimes I'm learning from him. I think that's one of the big advantages to our program in particular at the Marine Institute.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I got from my brief overview of looking at the program. Was it seems like it's very collaborative. It seems you get a lot of very hands-on experience. You're doing what you're gonna be doing when you come out of this. And so, Winston, you're working on this term project, or this. Is it a work term project or is it a final project?
It's a final project. So at the end of the program, this is what we submit and do a presentation on too. It's not quite like the way that the naval architects do, where it's just, this is my project vessel, where we don't want to be going, oh, here's the bilge system, here's the ballast system. So we kind of focus in on one different aspect of our project and then make that into something that we can present to people and hold their interest as well as be informative about all the work that we've done. We start in the second year actually and build all the way up to that moment to present this project we've been working on for 2 years.
Yeah, no, it sounds really interesting. What inspired you to start this project? Because it's you brought it up to Jon.
Yes. So, that was in the first year, in the winter semester, because the way that the project works is we select a vessel type, and then Jon will try and find a previous year's naval architecture students' a third-year project, and then we take that and then we build on that and put in all the systems. So take it from a hull to a working ship, basically. Right. So for inspiration into why I chose an anchor handling tug, one of the things Jon had kind of mentioned was that it's good to have a boat where it's, if you pick something too big, everything's easy. You can just kind of throw in. You've got space for days. You can throw your engines here, your coolers over there. But if you pick something too small, then it becomes really difficult and you get into kind of a lot of unique situations. So I figured I'd try and pick something that's somewhat towards the middle, where it's going to be enough challenge that it's interesting, which is important, but also I'm not going to go gray in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
He might regret it now.
I might have chosen a different ship, but it's my boat now. So
right.
I am glad I picked this one. And two, I think with the anchor handling tugs specifically, just kind of there was also a lot of appeal to just the general like aesthetics of them. I think they're kind of neat looking boats.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of kind of complicated tasks that they can do. Like they have to be able to hold their position in rough seas for a certain like extended period of time. They've got a lot of like thrusters and yes, so like there's lots of cool little intricate details going on. So I figured it would be interesting. And it is, but there might have been a bit more complications than I thought were going to be here.
Do you want to speak to some of the challenges maybe that you faced during the project, whether it's just within the program itself, how it's hard, or your project specifically?
For sure. It's definitely like a big time investment has to go into getting your work done. I would say a large majority of the work that I did, especially in the first fall semester of the second year when we first started on this, a lot of my effort, more I think than the rest of my courses, went to just this project. So making sure that you're balancing that is definitely a challenge. There have been some changes made to the program that I think are going to make that quite a bit easier to do, because it is kind of a lot up front, which ends up being good because the other courses tend to be a little bit more loaded towards the end of the semester. So it kind of balances out, but it's still quite a bit of work.
Right.
For my vessel specifically, one of the things that I run into was that dynamic positioning. Because of that, there's so many requirements that you have to be able to meet. One of which is the engine room is divided down the center by a bulkhead so that if you lose one compartment, you're still able to keep going with the other ones.
Yep.
I didn't notice the bulkhead until halfway through. So that first semester anyways. So there are a few things that I am going to have to go back and fix before I graduate. But no, it's definitely been an interesting challenge.
Yeah.
And like I'm starting to get happy with where some of it is.
Good. That's good. And do you think like this project, this course is going to be beneficial for what you want to do as a career?
Absolutely, yes. No question there. Like comparing this to the previous diploma that I did, when I came out of that, I wasn't 100% confident in like what I was going to do in industry. And granted, being electrical, it's a lot harder to do that because it's more general. But with this program, I definitely, like Jon said, it's almost one-to-one. The work that we're doing is going to be what we're doing in industry, which I very much like. So I feel very prepared for when I actually go out and start working.
Is there a part of the program that you find or you think is going to be like most beneficial for you because you have classes, you have this final project?
I do think like the third year project is a big part of it for sure, because it is like we're going through, okay, we need an engine for our ship. We're going out to manufacturers, we're picking that engine. We're making plans that are at the level, or hopefully should be at the level, of what someone we're actually working for would like to see in industry. So I think that's definitely the biggest piece is that it is so practical.
Right.
With the classes and everything too, I don't think there's a single instructor that I've had where they don't have proper industry experience. So it's been really great too, because they can say, okay, I've seen this here.
Right.
And like we're going through, it makes the classes very focused on what we'll actually be seeing, what we'll actually be doing.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something that the Marine Institute actually does very well and is quite different from a lot of other institutions, is that they have a lot of either industry relations or instructors that are previously from industry, and so they know what they're preparing the students for.
Absolutely.
And so, Jon, kind of going back to that, like a project like Winston's that is kind of difficult in like it's a unique situation kind of thing, and he is working with a very small vessel or a small area. How do you kind of teach him while also like allowing him to grow within the project?
Yeah. That's a good question. And every ship is different, and every ship provides different challenges. Even the larger ships provide their challenges that the smaller ones might not necessarily provide. What we start off with is we start off with examples of here's how it could be done, and then they go out and they do their work and they try to design the system based on that. But there's always that opportunity to come back to us as instructors. In fact, we actually struggle with the students to get them to ask questions. It's actually frustrating for us at times, and I don't think they understand, especially for the younger students coming in out of high school. I think it's probably difficult for them to think of engaging with someone who is more senior to them. And also there's that perception of, if I ask a question, do I look stupid?
Right.
And we try to create an environment where there are no stupid questions. Ask the question, and more importantly, ask the question in the group, so that Winston might ask a question, and Johnny over here in the corner might go, "Oh, geez, I never thought about that," right? And we also try to create an environment where we want them themselves to collaborate as well, and go, "How did you do this?" or "How did you do that?" So there's that side of things, because that's how it's like in industry again, right? We kind of start to push them away a little bit and let them go, okay, now you've seen how it's been done. Go away, and the next set of drawings or systems, you're going to do that on your own. I'm still here to support you, but you're not going to get these examples anymore. Now you've got to kind of take what you've learned and, use that and apply it, right? But again, we're still there as instructors to support them and answer questions as required. So there's a little bit of that going on as well. And then we get into, I guess, into the really detailed stuff, which we're getting into now this year. There's a lot less of us standing up and talking at the students and providing them information. It's more of the collaborative side of things of, okay, what are you going to do here? Go solve this problem. Right. For example, I'll look at, the guys this week and say, I want to see the detail on this pump. I want to see how you're placing that pump in this part of the engine room. I want to see how you get the piping into that. Right. And okay, go away. Right. Kind of thing. And they kind of look at you like you're deers in the headlight, like, oh my God, how do I do this? Right.
Yeah.
And that's the normal reaction for anybody who hasn't done something before. But typically they've learned enough and they've gained enough experience. And a lot of times they doubt themselves and we're like, no, we know you can do it. Go do it. And then they come back and we look at it and go, yeah, okay, that looks good, but change this, change that, here, think about this, think about that. Like with the example with the coolers that Winston had, that was his idea. It was 100% his idea. And as someone with my experience, I might not have done that. It doesn't mean that it's wrong, right? In fact, like I said, once we analyzed it and said, okay, yeah, let's go do it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. So it really seems like it's a lot of just like, one, it's teaching, but it's also kind of instilling confidence in students' ability to free think and actually problem solve. And it sounds very good.
They need to be able to come out of here, and they're going to go into an environment where they're going to be surrounded by people like myself and everybody working, and then you're equals in a sense. But they need to come out of here and have some confidence in themselves that I can do this. And no matter what gets thrown at you, the first reaction is always going to be, I can't do this. But when you take the time to kind of sit back and go, okay, let me analyze this. Let me figure out how do I approach this. And then all of a sudden you kind of realize, well, I could do this. Right. And I know that because I was like that when I was a student. I remember when I got my first job right out of school, I went in to introduce myself first day, but before even the day before, in fact. And as I was going out the door, my boss hands me a file and says, oh, by the way, here's your first job. And I remember going like, oh my God. And I went home that night and kind of like opened up the file and like, I have no idea how to do this. Right.
Mhm.
But you know, that's your normal anxiety
Mhm.
that you have.
Mhm.
But once you kind of fall back on your basics that we teach you, and I keep
Mhm.
saying it to the guys
Mhm.
in the class, we give you the foundation.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're not teaching you everything, but we're giving you the foundation to succeed.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And after that, it's up to you, right?
Yeah.
So if you fail, it's on you, not on us. Right? No. But they're well prepared when they come out of the program,
Yeah.
as Winston said. So
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's like a very interesting point of you know, there's generational kind of learning or passing down between you and Winston, you as an instructor, and then also like Winston to you,
Mhm.
him as a student, him having ideas.
Mm.
And so there was we recently had like the graduate students here at MI, we had a seminar series and we had someone out of the University of Svanger, and he was talking about how technology is adapting or is advancing so quickly, and for instructors trying to keep their knowledge that they learned however many years ago, but also how do you teach new students this knowledge that, you know, is if they come out of industry, are they still up to date with everything, and how do you prepare students for that kind of environment?
that's actually a really interesting question, and it's something that we as instructors are constantly talking about. Looking at, for example, our curriculum, is it still up to date?
Right.
Having the time to update what we do have and make sure we're providing the most up-to-date information. Technology, I know when I came here, only about 3 or 4 or 5 years before I came to Marine Institute, I'm going to age myself now. They were doing hand draft, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of the guys who are instructors here came from the time when they were doing hand drafting. And when I got here, they were using AutoCAD only for a couple of years. And the first AutoCAD we were using was DOS based. Yeah. That AutoCAD came on 12 floppy disks. The two of you are probably not old enough to know what a floppy disk is.
Only because we have them for some reason hanging around.
Right. Exactly. Right. But by the time I got here, we were us, the students, were actually teaching ourselves how to use AutoCAD and actually doing 3D modeling. So we were doing some of the first 3D modeling at the Marine Institute at that time.
Right.
And now you fast forward to today, and we got things like augmented reality and virtual reality. We've got a set of VR headsets now that the guys were actually playing with the other day. You know, so we're trying to implement that into the curriculum, and because it is being used out in the industry.
Right.
And actual fact, it's been used for a number of years now. It's not a day-to-day thing in the industry, but, you know, in 10, 15, 20 years from now, you know, Winston could be, instead of sitting on a computer screen, he might have a headset on or be in a room where he's designing part of a ship in augmented reality, or if you want to refer to Star Trek, a holodeck. we're nerds, right?
Yeah.
So, but
It's a
you know,
good reference.
but you never know, right? Like
Yeah.
that's where technology is going, and,
Yeah.
and we are trying to keep up on that. With the VRs, we've actually integrated into the 3D modeling aspect of it. So, for example, the students last year, we were able to take their 3D models that they had developed and put them on the VR, and people would come in and they can actually walk through the students' engine rooms.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right. So that's something we're also hoping to do this year with these guys. So
you're kind of covering like all your bases in terms of
trying to.
Yeah.
And again, we're not, we can't expect to give them everything.
Right. Right.
You know, it's a 3-year program. They've got a lot to do over that period of time. But if we can introduce them to it so that when they go out in industry, you know, it's not, you know, something brand new to them, or they can go, yeah, I've done that. I know how to do that. And they can jump on it. And you take someone like Winston, who's pretty keen with this stuff. I can see, I'll guarantee you, like if I handed him over the VR, he'd have that thing up and working in no time, whereas I'm kind of struggling with it, right? So, and again, that's where the collaboration with the students come in. We've had students on many occasions come in and go, hey, sir, look what I just did with AutoCAD. And I'm like, how did you do that, right? So it's this generation is very tech savvy, no question about it, right?
One of the things that I haven't really touched on that I do enjoy is that our entire first year were shared with the naval architects,
Okay.
which is great because in industry we're going to be working with multidisciplined people, especially the naval architects.
Right.
That's really cool to see. It also kind of helps with where we can kind of help each other with different problems, even like after we're kind of split off. We'd still share a few courses here and there. It's also good because at the start there, where we're fairly small as far as class sizes go, since there's kind of a greater pool of us, so later on we now still have all of these resources to kind of work together on.
Right.
And friendships.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool that you get to be that collaborative even outside of your like specific discipline. Like there is that collaboration that MI puts in and they really try and like emulate what it's like in industry, and it sounds really interesting, honestly.
For sure. Like John was mentioning earlier, confidence, even if you're not sure, you're going to get to a place where it's like you have to make a decision on whatever it is that you're working on. The first place we ran into it was with our capacity plans right at the start of fall, second year. If you spend too much time going down through like, oh, how is this going to work and this and that, and like it's great to go through and try and figure out, okay, what's the best way to do this? But at the end of the day, you have to, like, right or wrong, pick something. You have to be, or like,
what's good enough.
Exactly. Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna just get stuck.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to do that. It's very easy to just hit a wall and be like, oh no, now what do I do?
Right.
So you take what you do know, what you think is the best thing to do, and then go with that until someone else tells you that it's wrong.
Right. It's fine because they'll try and steer you back into the right direction.
Yes, exactly.
It's okay to make a mistake.
Yeah.
You learn from making mistakes.
Exactly.
Right? And we try to tell them, even us with the experience we have as instructors, we make mistakes every day.
Right.
I've had students find my mistakes, right? And sometimes they're a little bit apprehensive to say, sir, I think you made a mistake. But when they realize when your response to the student is, oh, good job, you picked up on a mistake,
right.
And they're like, oh, okay, great. I don't feel so bad now. He's not going to bite my head off.
Yeah.
And then of course, then they get confidence, and then they start looking for mistakes. Right? At that point, you kind of go like, whoa, hold on, right? But you'll find with the instructors here is like they are human. They're everyday people, and you can work with them, and like I said, we make mistakes just like you do. We want to try and minimize mistakes, but we'd rather you make mistakes in here than out in industry.
Yeah, for sure.
And like everything that we do, we get feedback on. And like just in class, we'll print off a drawing. John will mark it up when we print them off, and then say like, okay, here, this is what I see that needs fixing, or what's going on with this section. And that's where all those discussions kind of come from, is like going over the drawings and the things that we're doing. And after we hand them in to John still gives us like a list of things to kind of do, and marks up digitally all our drawings so that we can go ahead and fix those, which we're supposed to do. I do all the time. Every time I have done all of those. But yes, no, it's having that feedback. So like you make your decision. This is what you think is right. Okay, it's mostly right, but this needs tweaking or whatever.
The industry right now here in Canada, and not just in Canada, but everywhere really, is insane. The opportunities that these students have when they graduate are mind-boggling. The Canadian government is going through a major shipbuilding program that we haven't seen since well, actually even surpasses what was happening in World War II.
Wow.
Mhm.
The United States is doing the same thing, and a lot of our graduates end up down in the States working as
Mhm.
well. In fact, we're looking at building upwards of 50 to 60 ships here in Canada.
Whoa.
Mhm.
Now, that doesn't include the ships that we're going to be refitting.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Between Canada, United States, and one of the Scandinavian countries, I can't remember what it is, they're going to build 75 ships.
That's quite a lot.
And
Yeah.
these are not just, everyday ships. These are, military ships.
Mhm.
These are icebreakers,
Mhm.
polar icebreakers.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So we're really going into a phase in our country's history in shipbuilding that is unprecedented. They just announced that they want to build 12 new submarines.
That's wild.
So the opportunities that are there for a career, and a career that,
Mhm.
not just start, but you can retire in,
Mhm.
is amazing. I mean, we're talking 30, 40 years or
Right.
more of work.
Mhm.
And by the time we hit the end of the 30, 40 years, they're going to be restarting again.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I know when I finished at Marine Institute, that didn't exist.
Mhm.
And I was talking to a couple of my colleagues, and they said, like, my God, they have the world at their fingertips. And if only people understood and knew what the opportunities were out there, and especially for the marine mechanical side of things,
Mhm.
we are such a niche group,
Mhm.
and such a small group, and a lot of them are retiring.
Right.
I heard a number that 70% of the marine industry is going to retire in the next 10 years.
Wow.
Right now, that's not just our group, but that's including
Yeah.
captains and that too, right? But we are
Mhm.
included in that. So, letting high school students know, and just anybody who's interested in a new career, know these opportunities is key. And getting the word out, because a
Mhm.
lot, the kids are in high school, and the parents of those kids are looking at what are they going to do when they get out? But then
Mhm.
you come here, and it's like such a small class,
Yeah.
Mhm.
such a unique industry. But getting the word out to people is
Mhm.
really, really important,
Mhm.
because it's such a unique and rewarding.
Mhm.
Like I
Yeah.
said, I mean, I love what I do.
Mhm.
Absolutely love it. I mean, if I wasn't teaching here, I'd be out working on these great projects.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wish I was.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, the opportunities are immense.
Mhm. That was definitely a major attractor for me to this program too. I remember in the kind of like showcase video that they did for all the different programs, one of
Mhm.
the things that they mentioned was that in the past like 12 years, 100% employment in their
Yeah.
graduates.
Yeah.
So
That's a
it-
pretty
mhm.
strong argument.
It
Even
is.
here for the Marine Institute, to be able to say that you have 100% employment rate, or 99%,
Sure,
Mhm.
yep.
is unheard of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So,
And like there's so many different opportunities, like interesting projects, but not only that, like you can work in a design firm, shipyard. There's even people who go on to like inspect ships and things.
Mhm.
So it's really definitely lots of opportunity.
Mhm.
and you're not captured or pigeonholed into the
Mhm.
marine industry either.
Right.
We've got a graduate who's actually working on the Parliament buildings,
Mhm.
right? Because they need to replace all the piping in that,
Yeah.
because it's over 100 years old. So that's his job. He's not
Mhm.
even working in the marine industry. He's working on systems in a building,
Right.
Parliament buildings. We have a graduate who, when she finished, she did not go into marine industry at all. She went into the HVAC industry,
Mhm.
Right.
because we touched that as well. So,
Mhm.
you're not just captured in that
Mhm.
marine
Mhm.
industry. You can do pretty much anything.
Mhm.
Whether you can design the systems in a building,
Yeah.
and the systems in a building is simple compared to a ship,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I was saying to Winston the other day about laying out his some of his equipment.
Mhm.
If this was a building, he'd have a lot of space to
Right.
work with.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
because it's a ship, it's so
Mhm.
tight, right? So
Yep.
I mean, I thought it was really interesting talking to you both.
We're very interesting people. Yes.
Yes, you are very interesting. Yes, that,
Yeah.
that is. Yeah,
Pat
give
the
yourself
back.
pats on the back. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, and
Don't be full of yourself. Here now.
no,
I
I
know
think that you both you have very good experiences, and you're both very knowledgeable and very passionate. It's very obvious that you're passionate about this, and I think that that's whether that's you as people, but it seems more like that's kind of what the program attracts,
Mm.
Yeah.
and I think it's very interesting, and I hope that other people also find it very interesting.
I
Mhm.
hope so too. Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
So thank you both for coming on, Jon and Winston.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
The Marine Mechanical Design program is, to John's knowledge at least, the only one of its kind in the world. And so we hope that this episode gave people a sense of how supportive and collaborative this unique marine mechanical design program is here at the Marine Institute. And they come away with some ideas or, a way to discuss with people what they might want to do in the future. And as always, if you have questions for either Jon or Winston, or if you have suggestions for future episodes, you can email us at wavecast@mi.mun.ca. Thank you, and we will see you in the next one.